Day, it's JJ MMA. Today we are going to be discussing how Ariel Helwani just went on an absolute cope session on his podcast, or whatever type of show he's on now, because this doesn't look like the background of his normal show. But we're going to talk about and we're going to break down the cope session that Ariel Helwani had on his podcast about the Strickland versus Chimaev fight and how the beef was squashed after the fight. And even during the fight, at the start of the fight, Strickland and Khamzat, they were touching gloves. It almost seemed like they were wishing each other luck. But, after the fight, all the sportsmanship, it's normal. So, let's see what Ariel Helwani has to say and his cope session. And, we're also going to be breaking down his response right here, too. So, yeah, hold on. Let me move this up for you guys. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here we go. Let's start off the video. Ariel, what do you have to say? How is your coping going to start? And yeah, let's hear it, Ariel.
He is standing up there saying insane.
He's talking about the press conference, by the way. Also here, I forgot to kind of break down what Happy Punch said up here. Ariel Helwani went off on Sean Strickland for taking back his trash talk and apologizing.
That is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard. That is fraud. This is cowardly shit. You can't walk it back. You called Khamzat's mother a whore. That tells me you're not who you say you are. You're a walking contradiction.
All right. Anyways, but yeah, yeah. Let's see. So yeah, that's basically the summarization of it's like the theme of what Ariel was saying. So yeah, let's hear more of what he has to say. Let's restart the video.
He is standing up there saying insane, vile shit about Muslim people, about Khamzat, about his family, about people he's associated with, about some people who have, checkered backgrounds.
Let him talk on that type of stuff. If there's gonna what this does is just build up the fight, and there's more promotion that way. Both guys earn more money. Like as Strickland said in his post-fight press conference, Khamzat made more money off this fight than he's ever made off a fight, and he's like, you're welcome, Chimaev, which is true because. I think, yeah, the income totals were just recently released for UFC 328, and Khamzat made 3 times as much as Strickland. And I know he was a champion, so it's based on contracts. But, Strickland won the fight, and Strickland made, I think, under 1.1 million, and Khamzat made 3.1 million. So, basically, almost 3 times as much as Strickland made, even though Strickland won the fight. So, yeah. That's interesting on its face. So yeah, let's hear more of what Ariel has to say.
To be kind about his mom. He's saying it with his fucking chest. Like he's saying it from here and he's standing up. What Sean was saying at that press conference was crossing the line. What Khamzat did.
You know what really kind of bugs me here? I'll go back just a little bit.
To be kind about his mom. He's saying it with his fucking chest. Like he's saying it from here and he's standing up. What Sean.
So Ariel is when Ariel says that, he's acting like Khamzat wasn't having his own moments. Like Khamzat was stinging Strickland with some one-liners in the press conference too. And I know it was it was broken English and he was kind of spamming stuff. Like he was spamming, the dad jokes on Strickland, which seems to work in these press conference because all Strickland, or not Strickland, all Chimaev was going like, your daddy love you, your daddy love you. I'm gonna be your daddy in the cage. And both guys were going at each other. Both guys were, saying their own stuff. Even though Strickland was speaking more coherently, and of course he does because his native language is English, and Khamzat speaks whatever they speak in Chechnya, probably Russian or something. But yeah, Ariel's acting like Khamzat wasn't saying his own stuff. Like Khamzat was talking a lot too. And it's just, I guess, Strickland's harder to ignore with the way that Strickland speaks with such conviction. However, Khamzat was almost trying to dig deeper at him, whereas Strickland was kind of just trying to hype up everyone. And I know he was saying some deep stuff too, but it was mostly just his shtick where he goes, here's the thing you got, so yeah, anyways, let's keep hearing what Ariel has to say.
Sean was saying at that press conference was crossing the line. What Khamzat did was dirty. Yeah. You can't kick a guy that you're about to fight in the balls before.
Yeah, and that's worse. Khamzat kicking Strickland in the balls before a fight is more indecent and more feral than anything Strickland was doing. Strickland was, yeah, he was talking, but that's kind of what these guys were expected to do at this press conference. And I guarantee you, if there wasn't all the security there, and Khamzat hadn't had this urge to kick Strickland in the nuts, or like try to kick him in the leg or whatever she may have tried to do, Strickland wouldn't have laid a hand. Maybe pushed Khamzat, but like we've had that before, with McGregor slapping down Khabib's hands. And I know these guys are bigger, but like, a little physical contact isn't that bad. I mean, we saw at the White House press conference, Mauricio Hufi, put out his guard when Chandler was getting too close to him and pushed his head back with his fist. A little physical contact isn't that like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the most that Strickland would have done, is my point. Khamzat kicking him in the balls is way worse than anything that Strickland was saying, as more of like it was more like a screw you type of thing, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's keep hearing the video.
Anticipation, all-time high, building up, holy shit. You win that fight and tell the world that was all for show? That was all for promotion? That is the biggest...
Oh, hold on, before Ariel finishes his point, it wasn't all for show. Like Strickland said in the post-fight press conference, he was like, nah, it was real. But the thing is, like, here's the thing, you guys. Like once you share the octagon with a guy like that, like once you guys, I think Strickland tweeted this out. Yeah, once you share an octagon with a dude, and you guys are trying to shorten each other's lifespans, you guys are trying to separate each other from your consciousness. You display your skills, and you guys go like 5 rounds for a close fight. You go the distance with this guy. You guys both have this respect for each other. You guys have a newfound respect for each other, and that's what Strickland harped on in his tweet. And yeah, I mean, obviously Ariel's not going to understand because he's never competed at a high level athletically. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Those of you who know more background on Ariel's athletic history. So I mean, he's definitely from what I know, not shared the octagon with a man who's capable of choking him out or knocking him out. So yeah, and Khamzat's good on the feet, so he could have very well separated Strickland from his consciousness on the feet too. He's got very underrated power, does Khamzat. So yeah, I mean, kind of another smooth brain take from Ariel. Where were we? We're like right
That was
here.
all for show? That was all for promotion? That is the biggest bunch of bullshit that I've ever heard. That is fraud. That is cowardly shit. You cannot do what he did and say what he did in the build up to that fight and then tell us seconds after the fight is over, I was just trying to sell the fight.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You cannot walk that back.
No, he did say, like, yeah, he was trying to sell the fight, but then he was like, yeah, it was real. Like, you can tell the way that both guys were talking to each other. I mean, actually, you know what? I feel like Strickland, he was probably originally just trying to sell the fight, like when he was talking after his fight with Hernandez. I think that yeah, he was talking, probably just trying to sell the fight, get the title shot over Mavov, who was the logistical choice at the time. So yeah, he was trying to sell the fight after the Hernandez fight, but once they were kind of like talking back and forth a little more, Khamzat was taking it more seriously. And what Strickland says is like, part of the world that he's from, he doesn't get Strickland's humor, and that's probably also recently because Khamzat's a recent learner of English. He doesn't understand Strickland's American humor as much. So, and I know it's like a very different type of humor from Strickland. But I mean, yeah, regardless, like Khamzat took it differently than DDP would have. Like DDP would have just kind of shucked it off, not gotten like super emotional about it. Like Khamzat was getting emotional with all the shit that Strickland was talking to him. So I think it's just like maybe a cultural thing is why Khamzat was getting so worked up, and that like Khamzat getting so angry about what Strickland was saying about him was why there was probably beef, and why I think that the beef spiked for the most part when Khamzat said he was gonna jump him, and then after that Strickland's like, oh, you're gonna jump me with all these Chechen goat fuckers. I'm gonna shoot every one of you fucking guys. So yeah, yeah. Let's keep listening to the video.
You called his mother a whore. You called his religion awful things. That doesn't go away, I'm sorry. And all that tells me is you're not who you say you are. You think Conor and Khabib are ever doing that?
him saying you're not who you say you are is interesting to me because, he just as a plus 400 underdog, he took down the undisputed middleweight champion of the world who was undefeated 15-0, and basically he just basically dominated everybody that he fought except for Burns, except for Usman. But yeah, I mean, there were obviously moments in those fights where he was dominating. So, it was a very scary fight for Strickland. And Strickland, a guy who says that he approaches fights kind of on a cautious side of things. And he says he doesn't think that he's going to win any fight that he goes into. So, yeah, I mean, that just proves how much nuts Strickland has to go out there and test himself against a guy like Khamzat Chimaev. So, yeah, it's interesting that Ariel says that. But anyways, we move on.
That ever. And these two guys went back and forth and took this sport and their fight into the gutter. And then afterwards, we're doing the kumbaya thing, putting the belt. No. And then you tell me afterwards, you share the cage with someone, 25 minutes. Excuse me, that wasn't your debut. You know what that feeling is like. You know what that phenomenon is like. Sure.
Not with each other, though. It's different. Like you earn a newfound respect with someone, after you go the distance with them, after they give you a really tough fight. There was the respect with Strickland and DDP. It's a common thing. It's just common sportsmanship. So don't be saying,
he's on his debut.
Because that's just not how things work. Anyways, we move on.
Sharing the cage with another human being. And yet you still spoke about him that way. If you know what happens when you share the cage with someone for 25 minutes, you know that you're going to feel some sort of way about them in the aftermath.
Kinship
yes.
sorts, yeah.
Don't tell me that, something came on you and afterwards you respected this man. No, you don't respect this man because you said all that stuff. Either you're lying about everything you said, but you took us to a very dark, deep, disgusting place. Fine. That's how you feel. And then you tell us in the immediate aftermath, I didn't mean any of that. I apologize, guys. When Conor McGregor won the belt at Madison Square Garden, he apologized to nobody. And this dude is apologizing for all of that?
I mean, I don't know why he's taking it so serious because it's just like something based on character or shtick. Like these superstars, they build themselves up to the top kind of with the way that they conduct themselves because the UFC doesn't do much promotion anymore. Like Aldo was so popular because the way that the UFC promoted him back in the day and the way that they pushed him. Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell, maybe Chuck Liddell kind of got popular with his look as well. However, those guys kind of got to the top of the way that the UFC promoted them, the way that they pushed them out there. Like these guys like Strickland and, I guess maybe not so much McGregor because the UFC did probably their most promoting ever on McGregor, but like these guys with the big personalities like Josh Huckett, like they kind of have to have this shtick, to make things work, and they have to have this vibrant personality. And the most popular MMA fighters like Conor McGregor, like Alex Pereira, and I know Alex Pereira, he's not like a super vibrant personality, but he has this shtick, like I guess maybe not a shtick, but something that he something that he does to give him this publicity, like the Shana, Shana. So I mean, everybody has their own thing if they kind of want to make their way to the top. Anyways, let's keep listening to Ariel talk.
48 hours later, you don't get to say that about someone's religion and parents and mom, and then apologize. I felt that was so weak. I felt that was so disappointing. I have nothing against Sean. I like Sean. In fact, I told his team long before all this, I think Sean and I have some things in common. That was,
and we're gonna see Sean Strickland's response to this in a second. It's down here. He writes a paragraph about Ariel. But yeah, I mean, I'll show you that in a second. I'm not gonna play the whole 5 minutes 51 of this because it's a little long, and I gotta get to boxing pretty soon here. But yeah, we'll keep listening and talk.
BS. Respect to Khamzat. He tested me.
Yeah.
But F that guy.
Yeah.
And if you want to get that belt back, beat 5 MFers and I'll see you in 2 years.
I think that's probably
and
the
by
right
the way,
answer.
you didn't make weight and I still stood here and beat your ass. What? That would have been incredible. You would have been a legend.
That's kind of basically what he said in the aftermath. Yeah, Strickland gave him the respect and he said, I want to apologize. But now he's went out and said, you don't deserve the immediate rematch. You go get on a string together a few wins, and then we'll have that rematch. So, and that's completely correct because that's the way that it works. That's the way that the UFC has always worked. You know, like Chimaev didn't defend his belt, and I know he's good, and he's good enough. Like he's better than Amavov. Like on a logistical level, however, you know, you can't give Khamzat the rematch. You can't give Khamzat the rematch. He said he wanted to move up to 205. You know, he needs to make up his mind. You know, I honestly don't care if he's active or not. Like, because he's not the champion anymore. Like, he's not holding the belt hostage anymore. So, yeah.
And now you're telling me I'm sorry, and the world doesn't like me, and now I liked it, and it's like, come on, man, you're a walking contradiction.
Yeah, it's just like
no one wants to feel like they were hoodwinked. No one wants to feel like they were conned.
Rematch against Chimaev and try to build it
up
because the fight was so good, though.
Yeah, but we're gonna do this all over again.
I mean, these are just yes men right next to Ariel. They're agreeing with everything they said. They're just like, yeah, I agree. And Ariel's like,
Yeah, yes. Strickland and Chimaev, these, my little puppets need to beef more. They need to talk more.
anyways.
Again, if you don't believe it, don't say it, and don't fucking cross the line and talk about religion and family and all this other stuff. You can't do that. And then tell us in the immediate aftermath, seconds later in the cage, ah, man, that was just to sell the fight. No. And on Khamzat's part too, you put the belt around them and all this stuff. Like, you wanted to kill this guy. You kicked him in the balls. Like, I thought that was weak on both their parts. And I know what someone's going to say out there. You've never done it. You've never walked for 25 minutes with
Because that's true.
someone through hell and been through it. Guess what? We've seen enough fighters hate each other before and hate each other afterwards. I'm not saying don't tip your cap. Thanks for the war. I'll see you down the road. But that was nonsense. You took us down a very, very dark path. Stay there. You freaking took this sport into the gutter. Everyone's counting their money and everyone's happy about it. Who were you selling the fight for? You got the fight. What benefit did you...
All right, I mean, he just keeps coping. And he's like starting to not make sense. He's just like starting to, it's like he's just kind of crying. And, you know, these, hold on, let me go back a little bit. And these yes men over here just yeah. And then Ariel's just like coping and crying. He doesn't stop, and it's just more of the same. He just goes on to reiterate all of his points and say the same bullshit. But, yeah, now let's look at what Strickland has to say. So Strickland said, like, this is why I don't do media with him. You are a leech who I've never respected. And yeah, I mean, there's some truth to this, but let me just read it. The moment I met this man, I knew his quality. End of the day, the hatred between was real. What he said about me was wrong. What I said about him was wrong. So this, you know, all this, I'm gonna highlight all this right here. This is what he said. He said this, like, he said basically all this exactly, like, right after he got done with the fight, right when he got to his post-fight interview. I was watching the post-fight interview live, and he did say this in different words, but he did say this, you know, the hate was real. It was real, and you could tell that it was real. There was no way that was script. Like, you can't script all of that. You know, what the things that they were saying at each other and the way that they were reacting to the things that they were saying. You know, Khamzat kicking him in the balls, Strickland getting mad about it, Strickland getting mad about Khamzat's weight miss. None of it's, you know, none of that's fake. You can't fake that. You can't fake that, especially with a guy like Chimaev who barely knows English. So, anyways, let's keep reading. This what hate and anger does to people, and it still might be there, but we ended each other's respect through blood, and I would never expect a man of his quality to understand that. What a truth nuke. This is such a truth nuke by Sean Strickland. Such a truth nuke. I'm gonna just highlight that and say that's all I need to say. You are and will always be a pathetic MMA leech who has done nothing besides criticizing men who are better than yourself. What a truth nuke. And this mogged the last post on views, 3.5 million views right here. This was posted 2 days ago. Okay, I thought this was posted yesterday. Yeah, we go through the comments. I'm not even going to read them. But yeah, so that's Sean Strickland reacting to that. And then Ariel's going to react to what Sean Strickland said. Let's hear what he said, because I haven't even heard this yet. So I'll preview a little bit of what he says, and then I'll get on to another pretty funny thing, and then something about the Strickland and Khamzat fight again.
I did want to start the show off with an apology. Was thinking about it, was...
Oh, brother, I know he's going to do the McGregor thing.
I want to apologize to absolutely nobody.
I know he's going to do that.
Deliberating in my mind, ruminating, if you will, and I'd like to apologize to Sean Strickland. I went too far yesterday. I went too far. I got caught up, heat of the moment. My emotions get the
I can feel this brewing.
best of me. Criticized him for the pre-fight banter. Criticized him for the apology about the pre-fight and the post-fight. I just want to apologize from, one American to another. Let me tell you something, you guys.
Aren't you Canadian? Are you Canadian?
That's what real Americans do. That's what real men do. We apologize when we take it too far, when we cross the... I'm just joking. I'm not going to...
What a classic joke there from Ariel.
apologize because I said nothing wrong. I said nothing wrong when the
Look at the gift down here. Damn, you got the whole squad laughing. Classic Ariel.
heat gets a little too hot in the kitchen. You don't back down and apologize. You stand by what you say. And especially when you're talking about someone's character and family and religion, you don't change your stance because you went 25 minutes with them. You don't tell the people that you've just been hoodwinked. You got them hooked.
Oh, what a stutter! And holy shit! What a hypocrite I am. Look and listen to that stutter.
Line and sinker, and it was just to sell the fight. That wasn't real. That's not what I'm all about. No, absolutely not. We don't apologize for anything that we've said. I think his comments about me yesterday were ludicrous, as is most of the things that he said. Not his fighting style. Didn't say anything about his fighting style. Didn't say anything about his fighting resume, his accomplishments. But the Leach comment, I've been doing this since 2001. Took me 8 years to get a single penny from covering MMA. There was nothing to leech off of, like most of the things he says off base. But this is what you try to.
I don't even want to listen to him talk anymore. Now he's just gonna describe random bullshit. I don't want to listen to him talk anymore. Anyways, we're gonna move on to this. This is what Strickland's injuries were in the training camp. Yeah, in training camp. I think on the Tuesday before the fight, he injured himself sparring with Pereira, and he injured his shoulder, and he went into that fight one-armed. That's probably why he didn't throw his right hand as much. So another statistic piling onto the embarrassing loss and demise of Khamzat Chimaev. I could not be happier. I swear I'm good on dopamine for 2 years. This is this fight week, this past fight week has been amazing. It's been amazing. And now, only the best is to come. This week we got the MVP card, pretty solid UFC Apex card. And then after that, White House in a matter of weeks. Anyways, type 2 AC separation, extended type VSLIP tear, partial rotator cuff tearing / tendinitis, tendinosis, I guess. Gonna have to walk this one off. And then we have some probably coping Chimaev fan. Aw, poor baby. My name is Sean Strickland, and I play the victim card. More than the leftist. Okay, never mind. We're not gonna go into politics here. But I mean, I'm guessing that this will probably have him out for like 7 or 8 months. So, honestly, you know what you should do? You should book DDP versus Amavov interim title. Book it now. I would say book it now, so then we have time to build up a fight with the winner versus Strickland, whether it's DDP, whether it's Amavov. I hope it's DDP, and then we would have DDP versus Strickland 3. But yeah, and DDP has like the perfect style to beat Strickland. I would pick DDP in that one. But so Strickland's going to be out for a while, it looks like. Hope he recovers. And then, now we're going to look at Bilal Muhammad, his response of what Strickland said about Khamzat. And we know Bilal's on the side of Khamzat. So even though, he's going to say, even though the clown apologized, it's not promoting the fight when you talk about religion. I hope one day to step in the cage with that clown and just make him bleed. And dude, if Khamzat Chimaev, the probably one of the best offensive wrestlers, probably the best offensive wrestler at taking you down in the UFC, besides maybe Islam Makhachev, do you think you're gonna take Sean Strickland down? The guy that got all of his takedown stuff by Ian Gary and his takedown stuff by Jack Della Maddalena, who got absolutely dominated by Islam Makhachev in the grappling and was wearing a face like that. And I love JDM. I have a new poster of him in the back there. It's right behind my head if you can't see it. But yeah, let's see what Bilal Muhammad has to say.
I'm not excited to see Strickland talk because I will say this, even though the clown apologized
Not excited to see you talk either. You got nothing to say, bro. Except for I'm the king of Chicago.
And I apologize to my Muslim fans. I was just promoting a fight. No, it's not promoting a fight when you're talking about religion. He always plays that role, right, of saying stupid stuff, and then afterward, I love this guy. This guy's the best. Blah blah blah. No, when you're talking about religion, you're talking about family.
Well, I mean, Khamzat was like the thing that like all these coping people who were on Khamzat's side. Maybe Ariel wasn't, but Ariel's still coping about, come on guys, why can't you guys beef more after the fight? But all like these coping people on the side of Khamzat, what they all have in common is that they're not putting in their mind, like they don't have in their mind that Khamzat was going after Strickland too. He was saying crazy shit about Strickland too, and he was like more lovey-dovey on the side of Strickland than Strickland was on Chimaev. And Strickland won the fight, so therefore it's easier for him to be more respectful. Whereas if he lost, it would have been harder for him to be more respectful, and he would have done it anyways. But Khamzat, he did it. He was very respectful to Strickland after the fight, and yeah, so. And he said pretty bad things about Strickland too. He kicked him in the nuts. He was like before the fight, it looked like he was gonna be really mad at Strickland because he was like warming up his jaw. And I thought, oh, we're gonna have some beef here. And I wanted the beef too, but at the same time, it's okay because it's sportsmanship and Strickland's got the belt back, so it's okay. I don't care now that Strickland's got the belt back. But let's listen to the last little bit of what Bilal says.
Family, that hits different. So I hope to one day step in the cage with that clown before it's all said and done and just make him bleed. I'm not.
I mean, bro, if you couldn't, I mean, I guess like he kind of busted up the face a little bit of JDM, but JDM like. I don't know. JDM's a way easier stylistic matchup for you than a way bigger and way stronger, better boxer, better technique in MMA overall. Actually, no, I would say JDM's a better boxer than Strickland, but Strickland's got a different style. And if Khamzat can't do it, if prime Israel Adesanya can't do it, then what makes you think you can do it? Like the only guy with the best style to beat Strickland is somebody who's huge and can knock you out, like a Pereira. Like I would say probably, Michael Morales has a good style to maybe beat Strickland. And the other guy is Khamzat. Or not Khamzat, sorry. Not Khamzat, DDP. Because DDP, you don't like he doesn't even know what he's gonna do in a fight. Like DDP has no game plan. He just goes out there and wings it. DDP don't even know what he's gonna throw in the fight. That's why, DDP by falling piano. I think DDP beats everybody else in the division besides Khamzat. And that's because, Khamzat, like, I don't know. It's just Khamzat's got the grappling that's able to hold a big clunky guy like DDP down. And yeah, that's a recap of MMA media recently. Basically, just everyone coping about the results of the fight. Whether they're on the side of Strickland, whether they're on the side of Khamzat. Yeah, and it's mostly just Ariel crashing out. And I love it. I love the copes. I knew the copes were gonna happen. When this type of fan base loses, it's fun. They don't lose much, but when they do, it's amazing. It's entertaining, and there's a lot of copes. So, I hope Strickland gets better from his injury so we can see him step back in there soon. He will honestly probably realistically be back in the cage December, January. The type of injury like that, that many injuries in his shoulder, he's going to take some time off. So anyways, like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.